This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome into Jets at Noon. Tyson Rowicki in for Cam Poitras. Special thank you to Brayden Owasco for filling in yesterday. And I'm joined by none other than Jim Toth. Jim, how are we doing today?
We go back to the bullpen and don't have to sink all the way down to single A ball. We bring in the righty. Are you a righty or a lefty?
Yeah, righty, baby.
Righty.
Ambidextrous, actually.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I couldn't throw left-handed if my life depended on it.
You can do anything you set your mind to.
I got a mean junk ball, though. Throw a nice. Really? Oh, yeah. Go-to?
No knuckler?
Not a good one. Not a good one. Mine spins too much.
The thing about the knuckleball is it's either very good or very bad.
Very bad. Yeah. Otherwise,
so
you're looking
gotta have a good one, or else, yeah. I'm doing well, thanks today.
Awesome.
I think a little stress off the team. We're going to get into it, of course. I wouldn't say it was an absolute classic.
Oh, man.
But it got the job done. It's kind of like Jim Toth. It's not going to be great, but he'll get the job done.
And you'll leave feeling decent about yourself.
You won't be overjoyed, but you'll be like, it worked.
We're coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio.
He got the lawn cut.
The Boston
Doesn't
Pizza
look beautiful, but it's cut. It's good for another week.
Saucy savings on pasta every day in January from only $11.99. And this hour is also brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road, and at washmethod.com. Text the show 204-780-6868.
Home of romance, Winnipeg's Niagara Falls.
It's a lovely place.
Have you ever been to Niagara Falls?
I've never been to Niagara Falls, but I could only imagine it's as nice as Wash Method.
Have your parents been to Niagara Falls? It was big with parents.
Probably,
my parents went
yeah.
to Niagara Falls.
I think they had I think my dad had some sort of like conference there one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
My parents went when we were young kids. I remember the neighbor watching us because they were best friends. I had a neighbor that was my best friend, and we stayed there. They went to Toronto to visit relatives, and then they did Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do it every week.
I was fascinated by the band and the barrel going over the falls. Did he live, by the way?
I don't remember.
Did that actually happen, or was that just a...
I think that happened. I do remember reading that in elementary school, too, and just being like, this guy is the man. Like, this guy's the smartest person on planet Earth. But
see, I was the opposite. Even though I was in elementary school, I was like, this guy's an idiot, but I'm here for it.
But I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later in the program. But, of course, the Jets do win 3-1 over the St. Louis Blues yesterday. Special teams was the name of the game in this one, Jim, and you kind of alluded to it in our intro there, but that was certainly a game. I think that's the best way you could put it. That
a game was played, and a game was won.
But the power play is clicking now. And there was actually, I want to go over that first goal in particular, maybe a little bit later in the show.
Sure.
But just your initial thoughts on the game that we've mentioned so far. It wasn't too entertaining.
Well, like I said, my high school football career. Put Toth in. It's not going to be pretty, but the job will get done. There's no yak yards coming with that guy, but he might catch the ball for first. No. Look, it's interesting because it's back-to-back, right? And at this point, this is what's often lost. And I'm not going to say anything about the record and related to the schedule at all. Everybody's doing this. But at this point, we have a back-to-back. This is what you're going to get, right? I don't think you plan for a double minor in the first period and then get 2 goals off it. But when it happens, it is sent from up above. Yeah. You take advantage of it, you do it, and then you manage the game the rest of the way how you can because you literally flew, right? And St. Louis was here. They were sitting in the hotel watching the game last night in Chicago, most likely, or doing whatever hockey players do, enjoying the fine Wi-Fi and the beautiful sunshine that we heard about in the polls years ago. But so I think that they deserve a lot of credit for getting the job done. I thought Eric Comrie was sensational.
Yes.
And I think that, he deserves a lot of credit because I go back to that Toronto game 2 starts ago and how he wasn't very good at all and how he wore that. He has come to the forefront. That's what you need on back-to-backs. Mark Scheifele was asked in the postgame on 680 CJOB about the record in back-to-backs and why they're so successful. And he said, if I knew that, I'd sell it. Like it's, he doesn't know, but it bodes well. So I want to go back to my conversation so the game was what it was. Like they got a win out of it. That's all you can hope for. If anybody thought they should come in and blow the doors off St. Louis 6-2, that's just not going to happen on the back-to-backs. And then I'll go back to my conversation from Saturday's game and Monday night's game, how you keep getting up off the mat. It didn't matter. Like, just get the 2 points and then get some rest, deal with it all, and get ready for the Stanley Cup champs. That's how I looked at the game.
The one thing I'll say, St. Louis is in a really bad spot as well right now. They are, I mean, there's not a lot of great efforts out of that team. And going back to the Sunday game against Edmonton, they got their clocks cleaned. And that's kind of my concern, is that, you know, a lot of the issues that have plagued this team all season, it still comes to roost in this game. They don't have depth scoring, and they don't get anything at even strength. And the power play has to score 2 goals at the beginning, and then that was it pretty much the rest of the game. You talking the Jets or St. Louis? The Jets.
Yeah. Look, last night was also a game where I'm like, it's got to be the big guns. I don't foresee, you know, some secondary scoring coming through.
But sorry to interrupt you, Jim, but they should in a game against St. Louis. This St. Louis team is awful.
Yeah,
now.
The big gun should. But I'm talking about the back-to-backs and the stuff. Like, when I look at back-to-backs and the travel and all that, and I just think that, like, I'm not sitting here looking for Nyquist coming back in the lineup and going to light it up. Although that's why he was brought in, right?
Yeah.
He was given a chance that, like, you didn't play the last couple of games. You should be fresh and you should do some damage here. But I just thought, okay, you should beat St. Louis. I don't care if it's back-to-backs, and your big guns, your Scheifele's, your Morrissey's, your Connors are going to have to do it. And then Comrie's going to have to be good. You know, the other side of this is St. Louis, to your point, is you were sitting here waiting after getting thumped 6-0.
Yeah.
And that's what you have. But I was stunned, to be honest with you, when I was listening to the pregame show with Kelly Moore and crew, and Kelly pointed out St. Louis's top line going into the game last night. And I was like, this is how bad things are. John Shannon literally said on the pregame show, he said, I've been around the game for a long, long time, decades, and he doesn't know half of this lineup. Never even heard of them.
And I mean, Robert Thomas is obviously out of the lineup for them right now, and that's their key cog. But
when Kelly said their top line is Braden Shen, Snuggerud, and Stenberg, and then he's like, no disrespect to Braden Shen, his compete level is always high, but he's not a first-line center in the league anymore. That's fair. So, again, people look at this and go, why didn't they win 5-1 or stuff? I don't look at it that way. I think it's really difficult to get up off the mat after that Toronto game, to lose in Chicago, not scoring a goal, and to keep coming. Just get the 2 points. Let it be the ugliest win you've ever had, and then move forward. And now, like, if they play like last night, Thursday, then I have a problem with them. But I don't. I'm just like, capitalize on the power play, get the win. And I'll tell you this, Logan Stanley's arrived.
He's playing. I mean, offensively in the O-zone, he is incredible. I still think at times there's too many zone exits where it's like the confidence it's almost exuding too much right now.
What are you talking about? Logan Stanley is playing like Scott Niedermayer in his heyday. He's absolutely majestic. There are no faults whatsoever in his game.
No, but I mean, offensively, I've never seen him this composed. And the amount of, like, going back to the Chicago game. Yeah, and going back to the Chicago game, you know, there's that one play where he's throwing a Forsberg reverse check on a guy, and then it's walk the blue line, get to the middle, and then dish off to a guy that's in the high slot. Like, it's just those plays that he's making now are just actually next level. And the thought of Logan Stanley, like, I think there's this thought of him where he's this big bruising stay-at-home defenseman, and that's really not what he is. He's a more offensively inclined defenseman at this point. And yeah, he still throws the body around, but he does a lot of things that people kind of get annoyed at, guys like Shane Gostisbehere and Lane Hudson, like those players. He does a lot of things similar to those guys in the offensive zone. I'm not saying he's on their level. I'm saying that he tries a lot of the things that those guys try. And this year, a lot of that's working out for him, and it seems like he's kind of figuring things out in the offensive zone. I want to see a little bit more reliability coming out of his own end, though.
So that's fair. Like, I'm kidding when I say Niedermayer.
Yeah, no.
But to your point in the offensive zone, to me, he looks confident.
Yeah,
like he's just calm, cool, relaxed. The days of me watching him in the offensive zone trying something and going, that's not going to work. Like, what are you doing? Are over. Like, he's pretty smooth that way. Defensively, of course. Like, but I thought he was one of the better players on the ice last night.
Oh, for sure.
I really did. And I'm not talking star of the game or anything like that, but I thought he was really good. I thought Eric Comrie was really good. And then I thought the rest of the team got it done. Niederreiter had an opportunity and couldn't capitalize.
He had a great play in the first, though, to save a goal.
Yes, to save a goal. And so I just think that now there's, again, if I'm Scott Arniel, I don't even look at that and go, okay, these are the things we need to work on. The deficiencies in their game yesterday, I believe there was an excuse for.
Yeah.
The deficiencies in a lot of this season, I do not think there's an excuse for. But last night, I give them a pass for that. So they got the 2 points. Again, when they won the game last night, I just kind of was listening to the post-game show going, if you would have got a point out of Chicago. If you would have. But that's the way it is. So back to my conversation running into two of our city's finest Winnipeg Police Service guys yesterday. And I said, well, if they don't win against St. Louis tonight, and they were like, I was like, I think it's over. And they were like, whoa. They can. Then I was at my son's hockey practice last night, and a couple of the other dads were like, really? You're that? I'm like, they won 4 in a row. I'm like, well, no, I was really down after the Chicago game. Not me personally, but I'm just like, you've got to get points out of those games.
Yes.
But this is also the team with Florida coming in here. Would it surprise you if they went to overtime or beat Florida?
It wouldn't surprise me. Florida's also kind of been a...
Really?
It's a bunch of injuries too. Matt Tkachuk just coming back into the lineup, but they're reeling right now.
So, they're also the team that can get some rest, dial it up a bit again here and go. But it's the margin is, so look, they did their job. They've got a game in hand on St. Louis, and they're tied at 46 points. They are currently 7 points back of the San Jose Sharks. Now, the reason Chicago's disappointing is because they could have been 2 points back in Nashville for 5th, and then you only have 3 teams ahead of you. It's the Chicagos, the Calgarys, the Nashvilles, the Seattle, the Los Angeles, the Sharks, and the Mammoth, and how they do is what you can only take care of yourself. But now you need some help. But they're still in this, and I still think that looking at this schedule, Tyson, the reason I like this schedule for them is because it's go time for them more so than ever with the hole they've dug themselves. But they've also come to the forefront when they need to, when it's like push comes to shove. And pushes come to shove this week and next. Florida, Detroit at home, then they go to New Jersey, Tampa Bay, and Florida. There's 5 games and 10 points here. If you can get 7 points, you're back into this thing.
I have a question. You know what? I'm going to pose this question to you later because there's a couple texts here that I want to get to that kind of tie into what we were talking about here.
780-6868.
And this one comes from Ryan. And Ryan says, would like to see some experimenting and discussion around these D pairs. Morrissey, Pionk, Sandberg, Stanley. Would like to see these pairings to see if Sandberg or Stanley can play the offside. Would like to see what Stanley can do on the stat compared. DeMello has no upside right now. I mean, I understand the experimentation part, and I do agree with you. I think at times that this team doesn't do enough experimentation. It's, going back to last year when Mark Scheifele was out for a little bit, I would have liked to just see, maybe Cole Perfetti get a couple games down the middle, maybe Gabe Vilardi get a couple games down the middle, and just see how those guys fare. It doesn't mean that you have to be married to that idea, but why not give it a shot?
Not going to happen.
And then that's fine, but we'll never know for sure.
It's not going to happen until they're out of it. They win, they're going to go with the lineup. They win, they're going to go with the lineup.
I think that's
he's not going to look to find things right now because the only thing they need to do is find ways to win. And they're not going to mess with the lineup to do that. They're not going to try new pairings. They're not going to try guys down the middle. They're going to go with what they got and try to get that consistency that back in their game that they've had when they went, got points. And I mean, we can big picture this because I'm focusing on the fashion in which they've lost, but they've gotten points in 6 of last 7 games.
Right, but
you're not going to look at new things right now.
I really don't like that kind of line of thinking, and I understand that we want to get back to a spot where the Jets were last year and then build off that for next year. But a lot of the guys aren't going to be on the team next year, and you need.
But they're not thinking of next year.
But they should be.
Despite what people want and what I think you're saying is they're not. They're trying to get into the playoffs right now.
And
that's what they're trying to do.
Because you've been given this opportunity to see what to me this year is an overall evaluation of what this organization is. And I think you should be grabbing at this. I'm with you. I wasn't on the bring Brad Lambert train 2 months ago or a month ago. But now where the Jets are, where they're at, why not?
And I hear he's playing well. I've heard he's had a really good 2 weeks.
And see what he looks like. And if he impresses you, then it's like, oh, we might have something here. And then we can keep going and not pencil him in, but be like, this is a guy that we can maybe rely on next year.
Okay, so what if they put him in against Florida? They look okay and lose 3-2. He looks okay. Then what do you do? You roll him out again, right?
Yeah, keep him going.
And then they roll him out again, and he's awful, and they lose 5-1.
Keep it going.
So now you've lost 4 points.
Perfect.
Trying to find something out.
I'm okay with that.
And and trust me, you can find that out in a month from now. Everything you want with these D pairings and what Brad Lambert looks like and stuff will be, trust me, with the way this could go, you'll find that out sooner rather than later. There's no time to do it now. It's all about piling up points and seeing if you can get into the playoffs. And people might not want that. People might go Gavin McKenna, all this, but that's not the way the organization thinks. They are sitting here going, we're still in this, and until we're not, or until we deem we're not, we are trying to win games. And they're not going to look at different things right now.
And I totally understand that the coaches,
unless forced to by injury,
the coaches are meant to coach and the players are meant to play. I totally get that, and I'm never going to get mad at a team for players trying. Right, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think if as a GM in an organization, the things that are happening right now with this team overall, if everything cracks their way and they sneak into the playoffs. Can you beat a Colorado? Maybe we can. Can you beat a Dallas? Then can you beat a Vegas? I just don't.
Colorado's struggling.
I do not see them.
They're coming off a win, but
I do not see them winning 4 playoff rounds, let alone 1 this year. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on. We'll take a break here.
Connor Hellebuyck gets on a heater.
He could. He very well
makes
could.
50 saves a night for a series.
But I'm
not saying you should. We're way ahead of ourselves. Right now, they're looking at the next 5 games, and that's all they're focused on, and they're not going to try things in the lineup for the next 5 games.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll read some texts, because there's a couple that I do want to get to, some really good ones, and some stuff I want to talk about as well. We'll be right back with more Jets at Noon right after this. Thank you, Aaron. Welcome back to Jets at Noon. Tyson Murwicki here, in for Cam Poitras, along with Jim Toth. Text the show 204-780-6868. This hour is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash on 690 St. Anne's Road. We'll be giving away a VIP text. And Jim, we maybe have a bit of a runaway here. This text comes in. You two guys I very much like listening to. And sitting here now, well, thank you for that, first of all.
Thanks,
I think you two need nicknames. The one of you who wants to start thinking about next year already deserves the name Scotty. And the one who speaks logically is Spock. Have a great day. Well, texter,
I loved Spock when I was a kid.
I was never a big Star Trek guy. I was more Star Wars than Star Trek.
I'm not a big, you know me. And my co-host Cam with the Lord of the Rings and the Lord of Oh My Gosh. Have you kissed a girl yet, Cam? But anyway, the original Star Trek as a kid, I was like fascinated by. But then the other ones I couldn't care less about.
Hey, I mean,
but when I was like, I remember my dad specifically coming downstairs and going, "It's summer. Go outside." I'm like, Star Trek's on. And he's like, oh my.
Just because the texter said I like listening to you guys, I won't get upset that he called me illogical.
You're Scotty, though. You got to get that accent.
What does this guy look like?
Jim, I can't push her any harder. She's only a Chevy.
Oh, I look just like this guy.
And he's a Canadian war hero. If you Google him. Yes. He lost fingers and like saved lives in the war. And then he went on to be Scotty.
I'll put this in the back pocket.
The lithium crystals, yeah.
But
I'll take Spock. I'm dead inside after the Bears
We
lost
are coming
anyway.
to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio, where it's past a Tuesday every day this January from only $11.99. Hungry for saucy savings? Hungry for BP. And Jim, we were just talking in our first segment there a little bit about how the race to the playoffs right now, and that the Jets are still going to be focused in on that till they're officially out. I wanted to highlight the time, because you mentioned that they've been picking up points, obviously, right? With 6 of their last 7.
Yes.
So if we go back to when the Jets ended their long losing streak on January 9th, since that time, they have gotten 6 points in their last 7 games. And I should say on January 9th, the Jets were 5 points back of St. Louis with 2 games in hand.
Right.
So they have gotten points in 6 of their last 7 games, and in that same time, the Blues are 2-3, and they are now just tying them in points.
Yeah. So the way to quantify this is my former colleague Rick Ralph in another life used to do the numbers. He's run the math. He was a math guy, right? And he would run numbers on this. And he said, on average, it takes you 2 to 3 months to gain 5 points in the standings. No matter if you're in first place or if you're in last place, on average, it's 2 to 3 months. Somewhere on average falls in between the 2 to 3 months. Could be, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. to gain 5 points because of the parity in the league and who's winning, who's losing, and the teams all around you. So if you quantify it that way, like it's real tough. I got a better way to do it for listeners this year is Buffalo won 10 games in a row and got 20 points. In 10 games, they earned 20 points, and they only moved up 9 points in the standings. The other 11 points were because other teams won or lost to a certain percentage or degree as well. So it is in tough, right? I think the math said yesterday or the day before that they can lose 10 more games in regulation, and there's only 30-some left, right?
I think was it not 10 a few? I believe
it's down now.
Down to 9. I think it might be 9 now.
They have 31 games left, 32 games, and they can lose 10 of those outright. But if you get give or take an overtime point here or that, I think it's 9. You're right. So 9 regulation losses in the next 30-some games. So they will have to go at worst 21-9 or something like that, or 18-7-3 or something like that.
And you know what? I'd be more on board with it if. Say it's just San Jose that's holding down that playoff spot right now, and there's really no other teams around them, and it's just you're just chasing San Jose for that playoff spot. Then I'm a little bit more on board. I could see some things. San Jose's a young team; they're due for some sort of regression here. I could see. I would be a little bit more confident in their chances if that was the case, but. There's just so many teams ahead of them. There's so many teams.
What did they gain since the last game of the losing streak?
Since January 9th, when they beat the Kings, they have 6 points in 6 of their last 7. And in that same time, the Blues went 2-3, and they were just able to tie them.
So the Blues are going to keep but how many points did they move up since January 9th?
5 points.
So 5 points in 2 weeks.
But that was getting points in 6 of 7.
Yes, that's true. But they are so in the next 10 game increment, they have to get 6 wins, an overtime loss, and 2 regulation losses, and then they're right back in this. But my point to this is they gained that 5 points since then, and they are 7 points back. So if in 2 more weeks they gain 4 points, and then they go into an Olympic break 2 games after that this month. And here's the other thing. The Olympic break might be a blessing for them.
Could be.
They might come out of that 3 weeks, even though there's some Olympians on this team, with a rejuvenation and go on a 7-game winning streak. And I'm not kidding you. Like when I look at these teams, Seattle could. The LA Kings, the break will do the LA Kings something too, because they're 4-2-4 in their last 10. Nashville is 5-5. Like the teams ahead of them aren't pulling away is the problem.
But if you say you win 7 in a row coming out of the Olympic break, there's just so many teams there that there's going to be one team that goes 5-2 in that stretch, and
some of the hot teams are going to fall off,
and then you don't make up any ground.
That's true. I'm not downplaying that. All they can do is go 6-2-1, 6-3-1, 6-2-2. That's all they can do. But if they go 6-2-2. There's a chance it could be right back in this.
So then when would you pivot? Like
Colorado's 6-3-1 in their last 10.
Right.
And we knew that was going to happen, right?
Colorado
Colorado has 76 points and is the best team in the league and probably the deepest, probably the most full roster in the league this year. But even they have been struggling the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Absolutely. And there's going to be some teams that struggle. It's just that many in a row. Like you need a ton of help, and they're going to be playing each other too throughout the year. As a
Colorado's that team that after the Olympic break, they're going to be playing like, just get us to the playoffs already.
Yeah.
We just want to stay healthy.
But you look at the LAs, the San Jose's, the Anaheims, all 3 of those teams, they're going to be playing each other. So teams are going to be picking up points regardless. Yeah. And at what point are you going to kind of switch your mindset on the season?
Well, after the this 2 weeks, right? Like if they go 500 against Florida twice, Detroit, Tampa Bay, New Jersey, they're not out of this.
Right. And the one thing that worries me is that we kind of said the same thing coming out of the Christmas break. And, I'm with you on that. Like, I think that they should have been given some time to figure things out post-Christmas, and they didn't. That's all I needed to see from this point on. I don't need to see, whether they go on an 8-game win streak. Well, maybe they could get a little hot. I'm really really worried that this is going to be that it ends up being a New York Rangers situation.
So here's the problem with your question. I can't tell you when they're in it. I can tell you when they're out of it. And it's real easy, right? They could go 500 and we don't know if they're in it. They could go 6-2-1 and I don't know if they're still in it. They're still in it, but I don't know if they're gonna make it.
But the Rangers,
but I can tell you if they go 2-8 that they're out of it.
My issue is that the Rangers had the same philosophy last year, and then they go out and add JT Miller, and look where they are now. And now Chris Drury has to pen a letter to fans saying we have to switch our mindset and we have to do things differently than we were doing. And I just don't want to be in the mushy middle. That's my biggest thing, is being that team where 1 year you make it into the wild card, the next year you're out. 1 year you make it in, next year you're out.
I agree. I think the worst thing they could do is finish 9th or 10th.
Yeah.
They need to finish bottom 5, and then they can, I think, make some adjustments and draft well and get out of this. I really do. And I think the Zhilkins and the Chibrakovs and the Lamberts will be ready at the start of next year after a full year in the A or get some games up here. But that's the problem. Like, I can't tell you when they're in it.
Yes.
But I can tell you if they're out of it. And as long as they're not out of it, then look, this is a tough month.
For sure.
Not only do they have Florida twice, Tampa Bay, Detroit, and New Jersey, but then they start next month before the break in Dallas and then at home to Montreal. And then the break comes. And then they start on the road in Vancouver and Anaheim. So I just think that, by March, you'll know, but you could know sooner if they're out of it. But you won't know when they're in it until March.
Yeah, it is just a waiting game.
And that's the problem, right? And you can let us know listening to this at 780-6868, but you just want to know right now.
I do. And the one, looking at where the league is right now and where they are in the standings, I wouldn't be opposed to saying, you know what, maybe if we make our team a little bit worse right now and it results in us losing a couple games, that's not the worst thing for us in the future. And I think
I'm of the belief, there's a lot of people that think this is a terrible roster. And Chevy's got to be fired and all that. I don't think it's a terrible roster. I think it's a roster that has some holes, but when they play well, they still have holes, but they're not the gaping holes of their record. I think you can turn this roster around in an offseason. I think another season of Brad Lambert, if he's had a good 2 weeks and then he has a good month and a half here, I think he's ready next year.
I am 100%
but he wasn't ready this year.
I'm 100% with you that this team absolutely could turn things around. They could even be a Stanley Cup contender.
I think at the deadline, you could trade Nito Niederreiter for a younger version of Nito Niederreiter with term on it, because if I'm the Oilers or I'm somebody else that wants depth in my lineup and veteran 30-something-year-old depth, you can turn that around. And then I think I don't look at them drafting top 3 and having Stenberg or the Swedish player.
No, Stenberg, you're right.
Stenberg or McKenna
yeah.
coming in here. Because even if they draft Gavin McKenna and he comes in here, he will be Connor Bedard in his first year. Are you telling me Gavin McKenna is better than Connor Bedard in his first year? Connor Bedard his first year did well at 60 points.
I'm with you.
So that makes the team better, but he's not a savior the first year in.
No, but the way I see things, if you can pick up some ammunition and then hey, it sucks, but that might mean selling off
and then
Stanley and Nino and Vlad.
What we're not talking about is the Isaac Phillips of the world.
Yeah.
It's been 2 games, but he's got 50 games in the show in Chicago with the Blackhawks. He's in the AHL. I like him. He's a depth player that plays well. So I think you can turn this around in an offseason. And with this core, come on.
Yeah. No, that's the point.
Scheifele's on a career year path. Connor's Connor. Hellebuck, I think he can play better, but he was injured this year and missed some time and all that. You can turn this around quickly. You just have to figure out where you're going. And in the meantime, you've got to keep trying to win.
Let's take a break. And you know what, Jim? I love this conversation that we've been having. How about either Thursday or I guess tomorrow? Let's maybe think of some plans for the Jets and kind of see where we're both thinking on where things could potentially go from this point.
Let's do some homework.
Exactly. But we will take a break. Do want to mention that we are coming to you live from the Boston Pizza studio. Brought to you by Boston Pizza, where it's Pasta Tuesday every day this January from only $11.99. Hungry for saucy savings, hungry for BP. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Darren says St. Louis went 30-10-5 post December 31st, the year they won it all. It's the 5, right?
Yeah.
It's the 5. It's the Dallas has made the playoffs, getting 16 points in overtime throughout the course of an 82-game schedule one year. It's the 5. It's you gotta you've got to get some points anyway, fashionable.
Yeah, no, we'll see how this all shakes out, but we are going to take a break. And when we come back, Jim, the preliminary alumni roster was named for the Heritage Classic later on this year. We're going to talk about that and who are some players that we're hoping to see. We'll get into that right after this.
Winter isn't coming
Jets
this
at
year.
noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
I say minus 40.
Minus 46.
What's the
tomorrow.
point of that?
They need to shut down the city. Just let everyone have a day off. That's too cold.
Can you imagine?
It's too cold. But I do want to get to this quickly, Jim. But the Jets announced the preliminary roster for the Heritage Classic Alumni Game. And so far, Blake Wheeler, Andrew Ladd, Mathieu Perreault, Paul Stastny, Brian Little, Chris Thorburn.
Moneymakers,
And the
Thorburn.
one and only
Can't wait.
Dustin Byfuglien is back. I mean, I love stuff
Fired
like
up,
this.
Blake Wheeler said. He's fired up. And then he said, well, we'll see. Because he knows that months from now, when it rolls around, he can be like,
I got an ice fishing tournament that week.
He'll call you a week after the game and go, I just finished third in an ice fishing tournament.
You ever hear the Duncan Keith story where he said that the rookie camp?
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about it another time.
He got drafted and didn't want to go to rookie camp, so he unplugged all the phones.
That's
and
awesome.
nobody could find him.
Who are some guys that you would love to see make it? Like, come back here.
Well, I'm trying to think. Like, I'd love to see Tanner Glass.
Absolutely. We had one text coming that said we need to get the GST line back for
Jim
the game.
Slater. I mean, we've had Tim Stapleton on a couple times, Cam and I, and he said that Wheels. Well, that's what he calls him. Wheeler has already texted him about it. So Tim Stapleton. I'm trying to think like that first year. You got a good one. You want to see somebody.
Oh, if Oli Okinen's not there, I'm going to throw a fit. I'm going to have an absolute
He probably
fit.
won't come if he's coaching pro, right? He's not going to make it.
Well, we'll see what happens between now and then in the Finnish Elite
Mark
League.
Stewart's in Edmonton.
That's true. We did have another texter as well as ask about that and believe that that's going to
But
be.
you have a name that you desperately want to see. He had the best, and by I mean best, worst haircut on the team.
Kyle Wellwood.
Yes.
We need to see Kyle Wellwood in.
And I shouldn't say that.
He almost led the Jets in scoring one year.
He looks at me and he's like, who are you to judge my haircut? But he had the part that combed over.
Yeah.
He looked like he was from a 90s band, like Simple Plan or something.
Yeah, we have Ron Hainsey.
Hainsey would be awesome.
He's an NHL employee, though.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if there's any conflicts there. What about
Ron
Alex?
Haynes used to join me on the 680 CJOB Sports Show back in the day when the lockout was happening from New York. And he would literally say, yeah, I don't mind joining, but can we hurry up? I have tickets to the Yankees game. Like he was in negotiations all day. And then he'd be like, and he was, when they implemented the team plan that you couldn't wear like baseball hats in the locker room when doing interviews, you had to have Jets gear on.
Yeah.
Him and Byfuglien were so disappointed because Byfuglien had the Braves hat. And Hainsey had the Yankees hat.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And he literally was like mumbling around, I'm going to bring this up in the PA
garbage.
meeting. I got to wear my Yankees hat.
Dave texted in and says, what about Tobias Enstrom? Would love to see Toby.
Toby Enstrom would be great.
Give him an 8-foot long stick.
Save the franchise.
How about Alex Burmistrov?
Burmy.
He's actually still playing hockey, professional hockey.
Nick Antropov, too.
We do. Well,
just quote machines.
Absolutely. I mean, Burmistrov, he currently has only 1 point in 17 games with the Shanghai Dragons of the KHL.
He's still playing,
yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to mention?
Shanghai?
Yeah.
He's playing in Shanghai.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Burmy's living large.
Brought to you by Boston Pizza, where it's Pasta Tuesday, Jeffrey Forche.
Well, it is.
Oh, yeah, of course it's Pasta Tuesday every day this January from only $11.99. Hungry for saucy savings, hungry for BP. That about does it on the show today. We're going to look at some more names. No.
Forche, you're a light in dark times is what you are. You're a beacon of freedom when the storm's circling.
That's right.
That's very well put, and that about does it.
He's our lighthouse.
We'll be back same time tomorrow. I'm Tyson Ruicki in for Cam Poitras. Jim Toth will take you all the way to 2 o'clock.
Pavlik, we got a Pavlik request.
We do have an Andre Pavlik request. Chris, the Mason brothers, they're not related, but we'll see. We'll see you next time, or see you tomorrow, same time. See ya.